Okay. We've been working on post order. We've been working on post order for the last couple of years, Jennifer and myself, and it seems like there is a contract with the CDD concerning the post orders. We've made recommendations, and those recommendations in the past have been just ignored because it does not meet what the contract says. And I think there's a couple of words in the contract that has a little leeway for things that can be done. But, I'm concerned that everything we do, the CDD, is just not going to buy into. So the CDD should be the one that actually establishes the post order because they're the ones that control it. Everything we say, they do not agree with it. So that's kind of the feeling I'm getting from it. I mean, for 2 years, we've been fighting over this thing.
I don't know that we have anyone. I don't know if Chelsea can address that from the CDD. I do know that Laura provided some feedback in terms of some preliminary, updates and things. I wouldn't call them really detailed. Preliminary. A lot of logistics and contact information I think got updated.
Jennifer, could I add some comments to Dawn's?
Please.
Okay, Dean Groves again, thank you. Yes, Dawn, I tend to agree with you in that a lot of the comments that safety and security have made in the past don't seem to make it into post orders. Some of them do, but I'm concerned that there's an undertone in the community, at least with different entities, that the post orders are being gutted by the safety and security work group, which is something that I personally take offense to. And in fact, it's my impression that we have been trying to clarify and perhaps even expand some of the post orders rather than gut the post orders. It's my opinion that, and I understand that the district has assets throughout the community, and the post orders from their perspective are limited in the contract is limited in the role to gate management and there's some other clause, some other term that Laura has used. But this is a community, and all of anybody who comes through the gate, has to pass through the Wiser operation. And most of the time they are either residents or they are vendors, and the vendors need to be on the dwelling live list to get access to somebody's private property. They get there by driving on district assets, and the gatehouse grants them access through the gate staff. Again, it's my impression that the community has some expectations that the contracts can be narrowly defined or narrowly controlled, or it can be viewed as something that is managing the access through the gate. And once people get through the gate, they're pretty much on their own to go where they claim they're going to go to. And the community has some expectations that if something is amiss, if they see something that's not quite correct, they can contact the gatehouse or the roving patrol, and they will get a response. But I'm concerned that there seems to be a move towards once that call comes to the roving patrol or to the gatehouse, that the response is, that's not our problem, call the police. And I understand this is not an armed position, but I do think that the residents have a level of expectation that the community is somewhat secure, and they have access to that secure staff. Just a concern.
Sharon from Wiser, if I could address that issue. I know that, and I know it's a different company and we're in a whole new world, but with Castle Group, it was let them go. Whatever, Scott didn't want to hear anybody's argument. If I came in and told Scott, this is happening, I'm not happy, he'd say, well, then do it that way. And if Mark came and said, this is happening, he'd say, well, then do it that way. So it got thrown up in the air that, well, how do we do it? Do we let them go? Do we not let them go? It was it was put on us to decide who, okay, Home Tech is supposed to go to Branch Street. Well, they're not on the list, but Mr. Charnock doesn't want to hear Branch Street complain that Home Tech didn't get there. So I better let him go or he's going to come yell at me. So it kind of got into that situation that, I mean, we'll do what you tell us to do, but you got to tell us to do it and then stand by it.
This is Danny Clemens. Hearing what's being said so far, there are certain vendors that come here religiously. And it's my belief that there should be no restriction on them coming into the community, whether they're on that list for that or not. They're coming in to do work with that business truck. We document them, they do their business, and they leave. As far as I know, we've had no issues with a certified vendor, a Home Tech, gas company, whatever. So to Sharon's point, I don't see where the issue is that Home Tech didn't get. That's for the resident and the Home Tech dispatcher to handle. They're in contact with their people. That's not your job. That's not our job. If Home Tech shows up at my neighbor's house, I could care less, unless I see something off the cuff. So allowing a Home Tech technician to come in, I don't see a problem. What I do see, according to the specification, that there's no contractor supposed to be here on Sundays. Yet I see them in here all the time. Now, how do we address that? If it says nobody in on Saturdays, well, the residents not calling it a landscaper to come into the community to do landscaping work. They shouldn't be doing it on weekends.
If I may address that, Sharon, Wiser, if I can address that, again, we were told, let them come in, let them in. So if they wanted to open up the gates, and then you have, and I just picked Home Tech.
No, I know.
I have a resident calling me and yelling at me because I let Home Tech go up, and then I have a resident calling and yelling at me because I didn't let Home Tech come up. So which do you want me to do?
Okay, that goes back to the Home Tech dispatcher and the customer. They know where their customers are supposed, their employees are supposed to be. They're tracked. So if two residents have Home Tech, one and doesn't get to the other, that's not your problem.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
but we don't even have the post orders listed right now. So that's that whole other layer. This is Jen with KW, where the homeowners aren't educated that they aren't allowed to have a contractor on Sunday. So once we get the post orders done, they're posted on the website. There's no excuses. If no vendors are here on Sunday, that's it. I'll stand by that 100%, Sharon. So
I'm just using Home Tech. Home Tech isn't on the list to go to Mrs. Smith's house. Do I let the Home Tech go to Mrs. Smith's house?
if you make an attempt
to,
if you contact Mrs. Smith to confirm that Home Tech was supposed to be coming in, then she says, yes, I'm sorry, I forgot to put it in Dwelling Live, my apologies, then yes, let them through. But if you can't get hold of the homeowner and confirm it, then turn them away.
John Bickle, I don't know how you could turn them away. The CDD explicitly says those are public roads. There is no way you can keep them out.
Visitors. not contractors. It is, that's where the separation
No,
has.
it's a public street, and it's a public street. Anybody has access to it, a vendor or the general public. I mean, that's by statute.
I don't know if that's correct.
It is correct.
It is correct.
You're saying a visitor can come into the community
Yes,
and travel. Contractors are here for business purpose.
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Let me finish what I'm
Okay,
saying.
I'm sorry. Go
If
ahead.
in the covenants, it states contract, and I believe there is something in the covenants on the master side about work to be done on premise. Who can do it? Licensed contractors, A, B, and C.
You are correct on that.
Okay.
The problem
What's the
is, there's the difference between the CDD
Right.
and Pelican Preserve.
We don't have
That's
a
the
contract
issue.
with Wiser.
But where are the
Our hands
assets?
are tied.
Where are the three assets within Pelican that the CDD controls? The main streets. Do they
All
control? Are
the
the communities part of the CDD?
All the streets and
All the streets
sidewalks.
With the exception of Sienna,
And-
part of
Yeah.
Palazzo.
And the condo
and-
parking lots.
No, Palazzo
It's
is now
private.
part of it.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it
Okay,
got
one
pulled
time,
in.
okay.
Okay, so
Palazzo
I
wasn't part of it, is now part of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So over the bridge and the whole thing.
But that's
Yeah.
not even really addressing the issue,
No,
sir,
it's
and I
not.
understand your
Yeah.
point, and I know I can't tell home tech, no, you can't go in.
Right.
But I can say, no, you can't go to that residence.
Right.
So what business does he have coming?
I say, I
He's
don't
not
think
gonna
you,
say,
I don't think you
"Well, I'm
can
going
tell
on
them that
the
they
street
can't go to that residence. I think, according to the CDD, it's a public street. They can come in, they can go anywhere they wish to go to. Now, if they pull in somebody's private property and they don't want them there, that's a separate issue. But as far as the gate under CD, I may not agree with this, okay? But, according to CDD guidelines, they can come in and go wherever they wish to go.
Okay, this is Jennifer Nisanoff. I'm just gonna jump in for a second, since I'm supposed to be facilitating here. I'm gonna do a little gatekeeping. I understand what we're talking about. I understand these issues, etc. What we're supposed to be doing here today, and I'm all for changing the agenda, but the agenda right now, what we're supposed to be doing is reviewing the draft of the post orders and making any changes that we want to make so that it can then go on to, I think, I have to go back and look at what Georgia put out there. Go to somebody, I can't remember who now. Okay, I guess back to CDD and Wiser for approval and additional changes. That's what we're meant to do. If we want to change what we're meant to do, I don't think there's any problem with that. There might be from a sunshine law issue, so somebody's going to have to tell me that. But I just want to make sure that we're focused on what we're meant to do in today's meeting. So let me just pause for a second and ask somebody on the phone from CDD. From a sunshine law perspective, we have posted this agenda. If we want to change the agenda, are we allowed to do that? Since we have not put notice out to the community. Like if we want to say who should actually be writing these, because that's been brought up. Who should be writing these? Should it be the sub-team or should it be GSCDD, because it's actually their contract? So they should be putting together the actual post orders, instructing their contractor what they should be doing. And then we can help maybe through KW get the word out to the residents. This is what's happening and why. We can provide input. We're residents. But I just want to make sure we're doing this properly from the sunshine law.
So it's my understanding, it's Randy with the
Yeah.
district, that this is supposed to be a collaborative thing with safety and security. So once we discuss the post orders, we go back to the district and then we take the recommendations, or we don't, to the board. It's my understanding as well with the agenda, once it's posted, it can't be changed.
Okay.
If you do want to add something to the future agenda to discuss, that's something that we can do. The agenda for the next upcoming meeting has already been posted.
Mhm.
So it would have to be somewhere in the future after that.
Okay, so given that, let me just pose another question. How does the team want to handle this? Meaning, what is your feeling about roles and responsibilities relative to these post orders? There's okay, I was just going to review a little bit, but go ahead.
I think, I don't want the monkey to fall on our back. I think we ought to come across exactly what should be done in this community and then send it to the CDD.
Can I chime in here? This is Laura.
Hi, Laura.
Sorry. The intention of this, the safety and security subcommittee's responsibilities are to oversee the district's assets. I understand that you're looking out for the betterment of the entire community. However, The recommendations for the post orders that come from this committee should be how the post orders oversee the district's assets inside of Pelican Preserve. The other things outside the scope of the contract, outside of the district's assets, I understand that you want to have security over those. However, that is an HOA function. That is not the responsibility of this group. You guys are responsible for what happens with the district's assets. That's it. If you want to be part of a separate committee, you know, like on behalf of the HOA, if they decide to come up with something to work on post orders recommendations for a separate contract to oversee the non-district assets inside of Pelican, you are certainly welcome to do that. But I wouldn't want to see you guys spend a lot of extra time going over post orders to tell them to do something that's outside of the scope of the contract, and it's outside of our assets.
Okay. From a CDD perspective, your contract it has a specific scope. It's kind of a narrow scope. Is that what you want to see reflected in the post orders then?
Well, I think the post orders are responsible for holding Wiser to upholding the contract. That's what the post orders are supposed to cover. Anything that's above and beyond what's in the contract, especially if it doesn't pertain to district assets, is an HOA function. And I know that Jen had said that they're either in negotiations or considering negotiations to have a separate contract, like for the town center and those other items that are in there. But I mean, we shouldn't be doing things for people's houses. Not disagreeing that it shouldn't happen, but that should not be part of the scope of the district's portion of the contract.
Okay. Now, did you want to say?
I have a question.
Danny, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When this contract was put into place, did the CDD consult with the board here to see what was needed for this community associated with the GCDD assets?
I don't know. I wasn't part of those conversations, so I can't answer that question.
Because the way I read the contract and the post orders, 90% of it has nothing to do with the community. And I've been involved in.
Which is correct, because the district wouldn't be involved in specifying, the district would not put specifications for non-district assets in a request for a contract with a vendor.
So the next question is, why do we have security here? Access control and security within the community if it doesn't benefit the community at all? Are we spending money?
They're not there for security, they're there for access control.
Correct.
They're there to control the gate.
So control of the gate, do we need a rover? If the gate is their asset.
Well, this is why you guys are to discuss this. I mean, we had talked about getting rid of the rover. We had talked about purchasing a rover instead of leasing it. There's lots of things that are out there. I don't understand why we have a rover if they're just supposed to be taking care of the gatehouse. To me, that should be the HOA paying for that.
What, the gatehouse or the rover?
The rover.
Okay.
Well, part of what the rover does, this is Jennifer Nisino, sorry. Part of what the rover does is actually look at the CDD assets to see if there's any damage or any issues there, and then if that gets reported. I don't know.
Yes, it does. Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
No, understood.
Yeah,
The function,
okay.
there are additional functions that are there, but
Yeah.
Don Bickel, concerning the rover, what is on CDD asset property, which would be any thoroughfare streets? What is their responsibility as far as if they come across a car that's parked during the 2 o'clock in the morning on the street, or if a car is parked partially on the street and partially in the yard? What would their responsibility do? Because that's exactly what we need to address in post orders.
The district doesn't have any guidelines for that. If there's a suspicious vehicle, they should be calling the police. If there's something that's violating HOA parking rules, then that's an HOA issue, not a district issue.
It's their street.
But they're public streets, and if you're parking on a public street and you're impeding the traffic flow, that is a safety issue, and that is enforceable by law enforcement.
Then they should call the police.
Okay, so really then at that point in time, the only thing a rover would do is kind of see if there's any street signs knocked down that are CDD property, not private community property, And that's about their whole function.
And lights.
And the lift stations and what have you. There's some CDD property back where CDD water is provided to the community.
I think that needs to be made perfectly clear to the community that they are not out here to do anything as far as any type of enforcement. And see, the post orders in the past has said that is part of their function.
We've been educating the neighborhood presidents about safety and security.
And I think part of where that got blurred is in the past, this is the first time that the contract has actually been between the district and the company, where in the past the contract was negotiated by Pelican, by the Master Association or the PPCA. And so that's why I think this should have been addressed when the contract was switched over to be between the district and Wiser and not between Pelican and Wiser. And I think we're like 3 years behind on the ball getting these post orders updated. And it's just compounded as things have moved on. So there's as you can tell going through it, there's a blend of, and I'm not saying I don't disagree with a lot of the things that are in these post orders. I disagree that they're coming from the district. If that makes sense.
So we've already gone through pages 3 and 4, and we've made substantial edits to that. So where are we moving forward? Because we've already crossed off quite a few of the things on here.
Yeah, this doesn't show my edits.
Yeah.
This is Don Bickle again. Why are we doing this? The CDD should do the post orders the way they see fit. Put them out. Then Pelican can come in and say, this is what we want over and beyond these post orders. And we will pay for this, or the CDD will pay for it. That's a political issue between the Pelican Preserve and the CDD. And that could be adopted. But what we can't be telling the CDD what to change on these post orders. They don't really care. Let them tell us what they are going to pay for. Exactly.
But
And
that's
then
the
we can
role of the
attack it from
safety and
there.
security work group. You're here to help the assets that's why you're here. Because you're a work group on your gateway. So that's why we're here talking about the post orders. We can't just hand them over to them and say, do it, because you're a work group for PPAC.
That's right. Yeah, this is Dean. I think that's right, Jen. We report to the Pelican Preserve Advisory Committee. So, and the advisory committee reports up to CDD, as I understand. So they provide advice to CDD. We provide recommendations to PPAC. So logically, to me, it's our role to propose what we believe is proper for the post orders, as well as proper for other things that we deal with. We propose or recommend, and the PPAC either adopts or rejects or modifies, and then they move forward to CDD. There's a progression. We provide input. So if we see things that are in this report, in this post order list that need to be clarified, we should make that recommendation to clarify.
Okay, Dean, this is Danny Clemens again. And just in the first couple of paragraphs, first couple of line items, this is a generic post order. This is not site specific. They made some site specific entries in here, but just number 4, any biker or walker entering must show valid ID and accompany someone to the public reserve ID. That doesn't happen here. It's never happened here. Okay, that's just one item on here. So the CDD, when they developed this, didn't talk. I wasn't on the board at the time. I don't know who they spoke with, but even the guard services, access control personnel, don't address that. And that's one of a couple. You know, it's not happening. It has never happened. We don't control bike or walking people or even golf carts coming into the community.
I don't know that all the changes that we've discussed are actually in here, because that's when we actually did discuss in a previous meeting, and we said there's no way they can do it.
Right.
And it shouldn't be here.
I think we
because
crossed that.
Well, the
one
one I
off.
had, even with the changes, it was still
Well, I
active.
understand that. That's why
That's why
I
I
said
bring
I
it
don't
up.
think all the changes have been made in here.
Yeah, this seems to be the wrong version.
Yeah,
Yes.
Because it is number 6, no vendors are allowed into the community.
right.
Where'd that come from?
I don't know where this version came from because I know the one that I thought I saw in the meeting agenda was the one that showed all my edits and comments from the last time that we met and went over these, and this is not a red line version.
Well, it's the version that I pulled off.
Sharon from Wiser, I know that, like you were
Doesn't have
saying, a
all my
lot of them
changes in
are,
it.
that are on it, that they don't happen. These are things like, I mean, that I was never aware of it as far as people coming in on bicycles, I was never told. You
Right.
know, I've had residents ask me, you know, do you stop them? But, I mean, realistically, do you want me to throw a stick at their tire? I mean, how would I stop them?
Well, you can't see them.
Yeah.
That was our comment from the last time we went through this and discussed this item. There's no way you can see them.
Don Becker, why don't we just go through the
Yeah.
post orders and just start scratching stuff and just go ahead and make some notes and then just get this thing
That
over
sounds
with?
great.
I mean,
That
we've done
sounds
this
good to me.
3-4 times
And
already.
since we have a
Let's do it
version
again.
control
I'd like
issue,
to
it
rewrite the
looks
whole thing.
I'm just concerned that we're starting over because this, I'm looking at, I went to the meeting on our website, went to the agenda. The document that I opened from there does not match the document you guys are looking at.
Isn't that interesting?
Um,
Because it matches what I've got
Can,
here.
can I make a suggestion? This is Jen with KW. Can we have, Laura, can you send us the redlined version in Word where people can make edits? So like
Who's got this pulled up right now? Who's presenting?
It's me.
Randy,
Randy, you got to go to the website and pull up the one off of there. That is a Word document, then you'll be able to edit it.
because you had a bunch already done.
Yep, and the document that's attached to the meeting agenda for today is a Word document, and you'll be able to tweak it. So this is not the right document.
But that's where
That's
you
from
pulled
January
it from.
23rd.
Yeah. I think it's because I'm using the online or the web version of Teams that it's not popping up, Laura.
So
It-
if
no,
we all
go-
go and make our suggestions and then
You
we
should be able to go to Chrome, go to our website, go to
Yeah.
Granicus, I should say, and then just get it from there.
I pulled this right off the CBD website, not off Teams, not off anything. It's matching what he's got. Because I noticed, that's why I brought my.
I pulled it right out of Granicus.
At the risk of
Yeah,
sounding
see,
like I'm
that's exactly
looking at
what
a
we
new
should
company,
have.
Yeah.
what
With
exactly
comments.
is
Here.
the-
Yeah, the document attached to the agenda packet is the Word document with all the comments and edits and everything in it. So that's not the same document, whatever you guys are looking at.
No, Laura, it's popping up as a PDF.
Don Becker, one other thing, I think we could bifurcate this.
I'll email it to you.
This could be bifurcated pretty simple. Number
Okay.
one, we need to take out all the wiser uniform requirements. That's a separate total thing.
Yes.
The
Training.
the only thing we're really concerned about is the post orders as far as it pertain to actual Pelican. They could put that as an addendum or something else. And I think we're going to end up with about a 1.5 page document when we're done.
Actually in the back. The access control is there. What we can do and what we can't. There's some of the stuff is generic.
What page are you looking at now?
Page number 30 on.
Thank you.
Another suggestion is that we could start where we left off last time. Just so on our end, we can pull up the ones that we edited with you all last time
Well, the
and just
issue
move
is
forward
some-
and
Yeah,
Some
let's
of us
just
have
do that.
submitted
Let's just go
updates
forward
and
with
we're
what we
Okay.
have.
Yes.
Item, just scratch it or keep it or change it.
Randy, I put the file in your Teams chat.
okay.
So you're saying we need to keep the gate access control procedures, right? And 30 on needs to
I
be
think
kept.
so, because
Yes.
the generic stuff in the front, you can wordsmith it all day long. Shall, should, smile, turn. That's generic. Stuff about the uniforms and training, we don't need, that should be in the contract, not in the post orders. That's a contractual issue.
Right.
This is what they should be
Is
doing.
there any way you can get, I could get a copy of it?
You'd have to go through your boss, I think, as far as the post orders. I don't think we should be releasing them, in
Okay.
my opinion.
The contract,
Yeah,
if that's a gateway.
Yeah. And
I'm just
actually,
looking through
Wiser should have issued you post orders to follow, and your supervisor at the time supposed to, you're in violation of number 14, or with being out of uniform or whatever, you know. As part of your training and your contract.
If we can just go on, just start where we start at top and let's go through this thing, and get it over
Well,
with.
Why don't we all have one meeting here? We've got a couple side discussions going on. Excuse me, but we have a bunch of side discussions and I'm gonna gatekeep here because we're 46 minutes and I know we started 15 minutes late, but anyway. Okay. Is everyone okay with us just starting with, were you able to pull up?
I wasn't
the
able to pull
document?
it up now.
You
So
can't get it from in the chat, you can't? I sent it to you in your teams, Randy. In a
Yeah,
separate chat just from me.
the issue is the Outlook's not letting me log in, so I had to join as a guest, Laura.
Okay.
It seems,
All right, hang
Go with
on.
what we got. Let's just go with what we got.
let's go with what we
I'll share my screen.
Okay, and then will you take notes so that we can, with whatever changes that we have? If you're able to do it
I
as we
think
go
this is
through
what we
this?
did last time.
That's what we did last time.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
So this is the document that I pulled off the website, off of Granicus.
Can we enlarge that some more?
Yeah.
here's my change. Okay, are we ready? Can
Yeah.
everyone see that? Is it semi-readable to
Yeah.
most people?
Yeah.
All
If
right,
I can make it bigger, but then we lose all the comments. So I can, it's up to you guys. I have a big screen, so let me know. I can make it bigger, but then I lose I lose all of this off here.
okay.
It looks all right. We can see it.
Yeah, let's just start here. I believe that this quick reference guide was something that we had put together, 3 years ago, because we wanted a quick summary to share with the residents. My recommendation is let's get rid of it right now. And then we are going to have to put something like this together again. But until we do the rest of the document, we'll spend too much time on these 2 pages.
Correct.
Would that be
I think
okay?
we pretty much beat these up and tweaked them, and I think we're good to go here. We had actually gotten.
We got
I
through
don't know
those the
that we
last
are
meeting.
or not, but okay.
Yeah, we did beat these. up
Because,
pretty good.
okay,
all this.
we'll get another chance to take a look at it then.
Yeah, we did.
All right,
Yeah, this is not a final. This is not a final draft.
okay.
This is a work in progress.
Okay, I still want to come back to that when we're done because I personally don't believe that it's going to match up, but I could be wrong. Anything is possible. Okay, let's move on to page 7. Is that where you are now, page 7?
This is 9.
Okay, so 7.
This is 7. This one.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
No, you've
And
made
we've
the-
updated this.
Okay,
So this has been updated with Wiser. It's just not updated in the post order.
At the bottom. She's crossed it off. She's got us down at the bottom.
Here,
Property manager, Jennifer.
here's executive director Adam Radler. Here's his cell number. Property managers Jen.
Yeah.
Here's her cell.
Instead of Castle, it's KWPMC.
Yeah, this is black. This is crossed off.
Yeah, because I thought you had it down below that box.
yeah, well, she has Adam, Jennifer, and Gateway for CDD emails for the 3 entities there.
But the property manager's name is not indicated.
It's right, yeah, so.
This is great. This is gone. This will go away. Because it's crossed out. So the executive director is listed as Adam with his cell. Property manager is you, Jen, with your cell.
Yeah,
And then our contact, and then Adam, Jen, and the customer care email. Even
Yeah.
though I'm getting them instead of the customer care, which is fine.
right.
Laura, this is Dean. Is the customer care the emergency contact at CDD?
Yes, that goes right to the on-call person's cell phone.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on this page? All right, moving on to page number
Incident
8.
reports.
Oh, yeah,
okay,
did
good.
you have? Okay, page number 8 is actually wiser information, so wiser
That's
folks.
up to them to update. So
I was just asking them. Looks good to you?
No,
Nope,
Needs
he's updating.
only myself actually.
Your cell phone or?
No, I'm the only one on there that
Yeah.
actually.
everybody else has been changed.
Oh, you're the only current, correct person on there. Wow.
So they need to update that entire
Okay.
page.
oops.
All right. Are you able, offline, are you able to do that? And,
I can talk to my branch manager too about getting that
Okay.
done for us. Yes.
okay, and then,
He's got this, I'm sure.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure.
Sorry, it jumped on me. There you go. All right.
Okay, so Mark's gonna talk to his management team to get this updated, and does he then send it into Georgia?
Customer care.
Sorry?
Send it to
Customer care.
Oh, send it to customer care, thank you.
Yep, and then it'll get where it needs to go. Because that way, I don't like sending emails to individual people in case they're not here. Because
Okay,
we do take time off once in a while. So
that's fine, I mean, this
Hey,
isn't
it's
something that
page
would have to
8.
be.
and that's a good catch. That's a catch-all box. So there's multiple people monitoring it.
Okay, that's fine, that's terrific. All right, moving on to page 9 then. Wiser folks, does this look right to you?
See, I think Danny's right. I think all the way up to page
I know,
30,
This
Is
looks like
the-
all wise. Well, this is actually in the contract. I think there's something in there about this. I remember reading, or maybe it was the post orders. I can't remember.
yeah, the contract, I don't think had anything in there.
Yeah, this looks like all wiser dictated.
That's what I was saying.
All right,
yep.
We don't need
so
that.
then, 9 through, and if everyone would look through as we go.
And I guess this is more information. We'll need to validate all this. Wiser will need to.
Yeah,
Yeah, that needs to be updated, the, in charge of operations.
okay. The one thing I would ask when you're doing the updates is, can you be consistent with form names? That was one of my big feedback things that I sent in, because it seems to me you have 1 or 2 different types of incident reports, but they're called by different names throughout the entire document, which gets a little confusing, I think. Now, it could be that there was an evolution of the name of the form, and
We
it
have
just didn't.
incident reports and we have daily activity reports.
Right.
So there are
Two different-
multiple.
Yeah.
Right,
And this
that's
is
what I said. I
probably
think there's
wiser
a couple of
corporate.
different reports, but when you go through here, it's got different names.
That would be probably coming from corporate. Wiser's corporate office, I would assume, does these forms.
One
Yeah, but
thing
that's not my
too,
point. I'm sorry. I guess I'm not being very clear. The name that they're using.
Right, but
Oh,
it'd
okay.
be corporate to edit that.
Yes.
Like,
Okay.
so
then we are
Mark could
saying the
just say
same thing.
something
I'm
to his
sorry.
boss and say, hey, Tim, they've noticed that there's,
Okay, thank
they're
you.
not using the same verbiage throughout the whole Wiser document.
All right, I'm
Could
sorry. I
someone
thought we were
at
saying
corporate
something
kind of
different.
look it over and correct
All right.
that?
Don Bickle, one thing too, on post orders, it should be generic, so it covers it for years and years until the post orders have been changed. We shouldn't have names in there because names change on a daily basis. So you should identify people by titles. And then you should have a reference list as the name. Wiser can have a reference list that goes to management company and is in the guard shack and says who now the person is. But everything ought to be addressed as shift manager, whatever, supervisor, a Pelican, like that, rather
Right.
than
That
names.
makes sense.
Building control, whoever, yeah.
Okay. And is that something that you can work with your management company to do, or your management, I'm sorry, chain of command, whoever?
Yes.
Okay. So right now we've got Wiser on the hook to pretty much update all the Wiser information, taking into account that we're going to take names out and have reference documents for that. And I'm scrolling through here, and we're saying up through 30. So if everyone please scroll through their document, and I think Randy's going to go through it kind of slowly for those who may not have paper or a computer in front of them. And let's get an agreement that all the way up through 30, I think is the proposal, really belongs to Wiser to update. Now, some of this, I think it might actually only be up to 24, in my opinion, though. Heaven knows I could be wrong, because when we get to 25, these are some specifics on how they
Yeah,
should do.
I see some red lines in here.
Yeah, okay. So if other people would take a look and just make sure, can we amend it that up through 30, up through 24, and then,
Yes,
Okay.
Danny, it's 25, I'm looking at my computer now, 25. For some
Okay.
reason, I only printed out from 30 back, because that's all right, but let's go to 25.
that's okay. All right, so I just want to repeat, because I don't know who's taking notes. Randy, are you taking notes
Yes.
officially? Okay, so we're going to amend what we said earlier. Up through 24, Wiser will work with their management team to make appropriate updates. And then we're going to start talking about changes starting on 25, because that's where it's specific to Pelican.
Gotcha. This is Don Bickle again. I think from this point on, we ought to have it as part 2 of this document. So when we change things later, you can just go to part 2, which is the general guidelines that we're wanting. The part 1 is policies and procedures of Wiser in general.
So post-specific details, is
Yes.
that a good term for it? That's
Good,
what
that'd be
we're
good,
using
yeah.
here.
Post-specific details
Okay.
is part 2 of the document.
Or attachment.
Or attachment, yeah.
Let's stick with the word attachment, it's more consistent in documents.
Okay. Anybody have an issue with that? All right. So the post-specific details will now be attachment, and it will be post-specific details for Pelican Preserve. All right. Let's see here. Anybody have, what did I put here? Need definition. Okay. Take a look at this. I only had one comment on this, and now some of my comments I will start off with, they're a little picky-uni, but I think, if they aren't, I'll just stop my picky-uni comments. But the very last thing here, do not allow tailgating. How do
That
you,
should be out.
yeah, I don't know how you would not allow tailgating within the community. I just didn't see.
That's an enforcement issue, and that's not an issue that should be in this document.
Okay, so we're gonna take out, do not allow tailgating.
Where's that?
I'm sorry, ma'am?
Where was that?
At the very bottom of page 25.
Oh, I think this is through the gate,
Yeah, I think he's not
Yeah.
tailgating through the gate on.
not in the community. This would be like to not have tailgating getting into the community.
Back to back.
It's access control point.
Well, so,
Right.
so clarify it. Do
It's
do not
okay.
allow tailgating through the gate.
That's
Say
what it
say what you mean.
Back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I can't spell, sorry.
What number was that?
7.
7?
Everyone's watching, I can't spell.
that's all right. That's what spell check is for.
That's it.
Exactly.
Great spell check.
I got you. Okay.
Okay, what other changes would people like to see on 25?
Laura, can you tell where some of these red lines have come from that are already here? Are these your comments before? I know I made comments also, so.
I think yours are the red one. Yeah, this was you.
Okay, I got it.
Mine are blue now.
Okay,
All right, mine don't seem
That
to
was
be.
you.
Okay.
got it. Okay, thank you.
I'll jump in.
Okay, Sharon Weiser, do not deny access to CBD roads for track unauthorized entry.
That's not really unauthorized, is
Yeah, yeah, I think that unauthorized should be taken
Yeah,
out.
right. Yeah, because nothing is unauthorized.
Yeah.
In fact, do not
That's
deny
right. That's what I was
access.
thinking of.
Why even put that in there?
Yeah,
Because you don't need to deny access. It's a given. They can come in.
And it's
And it
also,
says it right here.
it says it right, it's redundant. There's a lot of redundant comments in the document.
You'd like to remove this?
Yes,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
it? That's okay.
and then there, again, report unauthorized entry, there's no such thing as an unauthorized entry, so
The only thing on that would be is if somebody drove right through the gate arm, and then, maybe that should be a report to the supervisor immediately.
Yeah,
But
and I
that would
think
be
that's
about
a
the
little
only
bit-
unauthorized.
That's a little.
Or if somebody snuck in behind another vehicle.
Right.
There's nothing we can do about that though, unless the gate arm is broken and capture it and we just document it. So,
Yeah, you charge the person for the damaged gate. That's what you do.
That's it. That's a little later on in the
Yeah,
document.
Yeah.
So I
So
would
even
eliminate report unauthorized entry to patrol officer and supervisor. That's.
I would disagree because there's a possibility that could happen. You may have somebody get through, like, especially if the tailgating happens. What if you have two vehicles go through? How do you report that? Or don't you care?
But how do you know it's unauthorized?
If you
Because they
tailgate,
couldn't connect with the, they were either not on dwelling live or they could not connect with the homeowner.
Well,
Dean-
wait a minute, you're telling me that I have to let Sharon Weiser, you're telling me that I cannot deny access to anybody. So,
They need to be identified first. And they're going someplace. Otherwise, there's no need for dwelling live. Why would we even have dwelling live if the gate's not going to check the list?
believe me, I agree with you 300%.
well,
I
Oh,
have a security background, so.
Dean, this is Danny. Your comment is understood, but I've witnessed it myself, cars pulling up behind another car, and they have the arms, I mean, they have the barcode, but they just want to get behind that other vehicle so they don't have to wait that extra 2 seconds. And both times they were residents, because they came through the gate opened up, but right on the tail of the other vehicle. So that's not an unauthorized entry. So that creates a little quandary for the person looking at.
Yep, you're right. That's not.
Control.
Yep.
So it really makes no sense to say report unauthorized entry. 90% of the vehicles that tailgates allegedly are residents, too lazy to wait the extra 3 seconds.
Well, I thought that the second gate coming down,
The man trap,
yeah.
that's
We
a
don't use
problem.
that.
We don't
That's
need
why-
it.
We
I
don't
know
use
we
that.
don't use it, but I was getting to that. I mean, we don't use it because it was causing problems, but I
Causing
thought that
benefits.
that's what it was supposed to be.
That's the
there
purpose
for.
of it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the community didn't like to wait the extra 5 seconds to get into the community.
So
That
now
was the
they don't wanna
problem.
wait
That's
2
an
seconds.
inherent problem. You're not
Yeah.
gonna take that away. But the tailgating, 90%, there is a couple of times that a resident will have a guest following him or her into the community, and they'll say, just stay on my tail and you follow me through, and the gate won't come down. You know, I mean, I drive an RV, I have a trailer attached to my
I
truck,
always go
sometimes
to
it
that.
happens.
When I do something like that, I always go through the
So,
left-hand one, said, they're with me.
report unauthorized, again, the access control officer is not gonna come out of the guard booth to go after a vehicle that tailgated. To say, you're unauthorized, you're not supposed to be in here.
This is Don, I agree with you on that. The only thing is, I'd still like to have something in there, so if somebody just blows right past, doesn't even slow down, that would be severe. And, I'm not sure I haven't thought about how to word it exactly, but something that would be a severe unauthorized entry. Somebody just blatantly to screw you and goes through and, damages possibly property and stuff.
Right, well,
like
that.
That should be reported to
The
the supervisor.
caveat is damage to property. There's the difference of it unauthorized. So how do we describe or define unauthorized entry into the property? I think that's what the question is.
Correct.
This is Dan again.
Are you guys like trying to say forced entry or?
no, I think unauthorized is kind of broad. So
That's,
Yeah.
it's too broad for this because
Yeah.
there is no unauthorized entry per se. You cannot deny entry into the community. So what makes an entry unauthorized? Damage to property.
An illegal entry. I don't know.
Well, it's
That's,
illegal.
yeah.
Unauthorized
So we-
illegal, I think, should be excluded from this document because there is nothing that says someone is illegally here.
So what
we
is
could
it-
make a definitions page and then we could define that. I just put a comment on unauthorized that we need to define what that is. We could do that
Yeah.
at a different place in the document.
Yeah,
That
well,
would probably be best.
Yeah, that's fine.
How about to the point of, there are really two types of people who are coming in that may not be, I don't know what the word is, but one is somebody comes in and creates damage. because, they blow by the date. So maybe we can have a name for that. The only other unauthorized I can think of, and this is, I don't think that's a good word, but if somebody comes in, they're not on the list, they want to come in anyway, why you're supposed to take their license plate and driver's license, and let's say they just say, no, you don't need to see this, let me in, this is a CDD road. That, to me, I don't like the word unauthorized, but that's something that maybe a note should be made of.
Well, I think that's in the document. There is something that
I
says
know.
they refuse, but, so it's already in there.
I understand, but we were talking about nomenclature, so I was just saying from unauthorized, the two scenarios I see is somebody coming in and they just won't give you the information, they just refuse, you have to let them in anyway, that might you might still want to document that. And then when they damage.
Yeah, and that would be, they
So-
could reference back to the videotape that's taken,
Right.
supposed to be taken of her.
All right, I see, this is Dan. We can revisit this, just make a note, and we can
Okay,
Yeah.
address that and go on.
all right. Anything else on 25?
Somebody's having fun with the typewriter.
I think that's Laura.
That's me.
All right. All right, so
Sorry, my microphone's right behind my keyboard.
that's okay. We can hear you really well. It's not a problem. All right, so 26, I think is just, it's probably part of 25, but we put some changes in there. And so, so contractor access control on page 27.
Again, this contract access control looks like it's mostly wiser related.
Right.
It's what they're responsible to do in their post orders. That has nothing to do with the community itself.
Well, I would disagree. Yeah.
Oh, you want to go? You want me to go?
Go ahead.
Okay, I think it is part of our thing, our community, because if there's a vendor or contractor that comes in, and we were kind of talking through this scenario a little while ago, they cannot be denied access to the roads. So if they don't have any of, if they can't answer some basic questions about who they are, maybe they just don't want to, but I don't know why they wouldn't, who they are, who they're here to see, etc. I think that should be considered part of that category, just like an individual versus a contractor. Somebody who comes in, they're not, quote, on a list, they're not a resident, they want in. They have to be allowed in on the CDD. So have Wiser give them the information about, here's where you're allowed to go, these other streets are private, stay off them. And if,
Yeah.
try to get the information. If they can't get them, you still have to let them in, but just make sure they know, here, okay, but please know, you're only allowed on CDD roads, you can't go into Siena, you can't go into Town Center, you can't go in the club. So that's why I think it should be here.
But again, it's a wiser function. It's
Yeah.
an access control issue.
But that's what we're trying to document here, is
Well,
what they're supposed to be doing on behalf of the CDD.
Yeah.
That could also be,
I
as
think
Don,
that-
this could also be handled with a very short, brief, concise handout to people. When they come in,
Yeah.
if they're not residents, then you just give them this piece of paper, tells them where they can go, where they can't go. And then if they violate that, you go from there. But
Yeah.
rather than have to tell the people, because if you got to line up at that gate, you're not going to have time to do all this stuff. Just give them a sheet of paper with the information on it,
That's fine.
or on the pass
5
itself.
by 8 piece. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're going to get into, this is Dean, we're going to get into a conversation probably on the next page or two that deals with realtors that are trying to sell our homes for us, and how we are going to allow access through the gate for people who we don't know are coming through the gate to look at our homes.
That
How
would be
we-
handled the same as anybody else, is what we've done here. I mean, and you can hand them that sheet of paper, tell them where they can go and can't go, town center, but then they're with a realtor, that would be kind of like an exempt thing, that they can go to town center with a realtor, but you don't have to say that on the paper.
Okay, well, it's a concern, so
Yes.
Right. And you didn't hear when we were, I don't know if we should have been talking about this ahead of time or not, but Jen Lewis was sharing with us some of what the board is doing right now relative to realtors and setting up some policies and.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Right, but it's in the post orders,
Yeah.
Jennifer. That's why I bring it up. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No problem. I just wanted to give you that extra information you might not have heard.
Thank you.
Okay. So back to this. Everybody okay with contractors? They're a different type of person, but the procedure should be basically the same in terms of access control. And then to the point that Dean was making about realtors and people coming to look at homes, same kind of thing. Well, the people looking at homes probably will be with realtor, maybe not. Okay.
Sharon from
Sharon from
Wiser,
Wiser,
yeah.
as being from Wiser, working the gatehouse.
Uh-huh.
Generally, we tell people, if a realtor will come in and say, I have Bob and Sue Smith coming in,
Okay.
they'll be here at 10 o'clock, they're coming to meet me. Or if I have Bob and Sue Smith come we prefer that you come through the gate with your realtor. However, again, we can't refuse anybody entry,
Yeah.
but we always take their name, give them a general access pass. So
Okay.
they are noted that
Okay.
they
So
have
they're
come through.
they're treated like anybody else.
But they just
basically.
don't have to be on a specific list.
Yeah.
Like 10, yeah, put the actual address in, no, everyone calls.
Yeah, okay. I think it's important to put that in here, that there are different types of people that would, it's almost like a hierarchy. You've got the people, you've got the contractors. These are the types of people that might be coming in. They're the types of contractors. I don't know whether real estate agents count as a person or a contractor, because I'm thinking about what Dean was saying earlier about expectations of the community and us gutting things. So this would show them that we are actually looking and considering all this, but basically you have to let them in.
Don Bickle again.
Yeah.
I mentioned a short handout.
Yeah.
One side would be for guests and visitors, the opposite side, contractors.
Mm-hmm.
And you could have specific things that apply to contractors, such as if you establish certain days of the week or work hours, that can be put on there, where they're parked their contractor vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
That could be put on that. Then on the other side, you put the visitor and information. So it's one sheet, short, concise, with all the information for both.
Okay. Okay.
Next page.
Next page. So we're moving on to 28.
All right.
Restrictions and limitations. What's wrong?
Documented in there. No contractors.
Yeah.
So, which causes that problem that Don brought up. As a community, we can say there's no contracted work to be performed within the community. Gate access under CDD, they can come into the property. Where do we draw the line? We have a community policy, no contract is permitted on site. On Sunday.
Let's look in the
Well, let's find
bylaws,
out on the bylaws.
because it could, I don't know,
We
I don't know,
addressed
but it
that,
could say
Jennifer.
that, yeah,
Remember we addressed that because emergency contractors?
yeah, it's in here.
Well, that's in
Yeah,
there.
and that's,
It's in it.
Yeah.
But I think the difference could be contractors can be allowed on gateway streets, but they can't be, I think the reason in Sundays, they don't want all the noise and stuff. So they can't be working on a person's property. And I think that's where it gets into the PPCA,
Right.
because that's under more bylaws versus the legality.
That's why I brought it up, because I know for a fact
That's a good
Sunday,
point.
I saw landscaping contractor come into the community.
Yeah.
So if I said, Sharon Rogers, no contractors permitted at specific residences, could you put something like that?
No,
I really think the difference is that contractors have to be allowed in. There's nothing that we can do because it's a road, but I think the difference may be, I don't know, tell me what y'all think, is that one, from a CDD perspective, you might want to just let the person know if this is appropriate. you're not allowed to do any work. I have to let you in, but please be aware that for, the governance rules, you can't do any work.
That can be put, like you say, on that piece of
Yeah.
paper.
Yeah.
They don't have to articulate
Well,
it,
yes, I know.
but it's on that piece of paper. And if they choose to ignore it, then the board can do whatever they want.
Yeah, because that was the second part where I was going to, which is, we need to make sure the residents really understand, they gotta let the contractors in, it's a public road. However, it's on you, between you and the PPCA, and probably your neighbors too, that you're not allowed to do this unless it's an emergency on a Sunday.
Right. And that's, I understand.
Okay.
The public roads are gonna have FPL, you have the water department, you may have Ameriscape for broken.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Sprinkler heads, but you don't need Danny's dive shop coming in to do some work, but I'm just throwing a name out.
Yeah, I understand.
To come into the property, but you can't deny him.
Right.
Document, notify, make a notate. Maybe have the rover issue, or
Yeah.
document, get the information off the vehicle, and then submit it to the board or the community to set a
Right.
violation against where it's at the location.
So I think what we're saying is, we can get rid of the Sunday holidays, no contractors permitted, because they have to be permitted. And exception emergency only, and the reason I'm saying that is if it's an emergency, it should probably have been called in, and there should be documentation about that.
I wouldn't get rid of it, this is Danny
No.
again, I would say no contractor work
Yeah,
permitted.
I was gonna
I would
say,
not get rid of it, because that leaves
That's
it too
fine,
open.
no, I'm good with that,
More specific, make it simple,
good.
no contractor work
that's fine.
performed.
And there's a typo in that contactors, should be
Yeah.
contractors.
Yeah, that's true.
No contractor work to be performed unless it's an emergency, like a pool
Eh,
or an air conditioning.
And yeah, or, there's a plumbing broken
Sure.
pipe, or there's a hurricane that destroyed the area, and there's a
Right,
Sunday.
again, that's emergency related with Danny again, I'm sorry.
And then
I have a
right
question, how will you word that in there? Because you can't expect Wiser to go up and tell a contractor, you can't work in here.
No, but you can,
It's access.
this is Danny again. You can't ask him to stop the work, but you can issue you can issue a notice and then submit that notice to the office Monday morning for the
But again, this is one of those items that's outside the scope of the district, because
they can't do that.
this is an HOA function.
Yeah, that's,
So again, it brings back the perspective, so why do we have them?
yeah.
And I'm not being facetious, I'm just being, so if they're not doing that, what's their function?
Access
But that's
control.
just a comment, we're gonna proceed with that later, I just
Yeah.
wanna make that comment.
Well,
for the record.
then, do we want to go back to say it's inappropriate to even mention that here? No contractors permitted? I know you said no contractor work, but I don't know whether that's what Laura was addressing or not.
Laura?
I was addressing both because, I mean, from a CDD perspective, we can't stop them from coming in. Those are public roads. So this is an HOA thing where your covenants or your agreement or your HOA policies are to not have contractors doing work on Sundays or holidays or outside those hours. That is not a CDD restriction. That's an HOA restriction. So this would be something that should the HOA have a contract with Wiser, you could, I mean, this is that gray area because this is not something that we can enforce. And it's not something we can ask Wiser to enforce on behalf of the district.
Okay, and I suggest this is Danny, I suggest we eliminate that whole section, access to private property, delete everything.
This is Don, I agree with you, and I think that could be addressed on a sheet of paper that we hand out on the backside for contractors. It could say that whatever you want to say. And then it can say the hours, the noise. It could all be addressed on that sheet of paper. And it's not enforceable by a CDD or.
Totally agree. Eliminate
They're
it.
just informing, and I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I do feel like it. But then the no noise policy should probably.
That should be in that too. The noise policy should be under that. And then if we have complaints on certain vendors, people can raise heck with Pelican Preserve, and then Pelican Preserve can
Address it with the resident.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
it does say right up there though, access out to private property.
Yeah,
It doesn't say,
Yeah, but that's, so
Yeah, it's-
okay.
just eliminate, delete
Yeah,
it and
just
take
take
it
it
out of
out.
the document.
You want me to take this part here out too, the noise?
Yeah,
That's a citywide issue. That's a county issue.
And a PPCA, I think there's something in the bylaws about it. Okay, emergency gate located product connection to GSCDD. Okay.
All right, this is Dan. I have a question on that next one. The emergency gate located product connection to gateway is for GSCDD utility work emergency use. What is the definition of emergency use? And I bring that up because I'm part of the emergency response team, and this is a question that we need answered.
I know that the agreement that Prado was involved with when they agreed to use that gate, move it from a construction entry to an emergency, was that it was first responders. So it's going to be GSCDD people can come in and out to do work, and basically first responders. There's going to be, I don't know if it's been built yet, a fire department, right on the other side of the gate or pretty close to that. And it was because to get from way up here, way back to Prado, for instance, it's 2 miles. So you can put an awful lot of time on. And someone's having a heart attack, that time is precious. So I think that's what that meant. That was the intent at any rate. And
That's
I was
correct.
involved with some of that, so.
Yeah.
So Jennifer, this is Dean. So when that, when the emergency occurs and we're looking for an ambulance or fire truck to come in through that, the closest connection being the emergency gate, the only ones that have control of that gate is CDD, is my understanding.
That's
think
partially
right now-
true.
But yeah,
The access to those gates is set up so that there's some kind of specific tone or something that the emergency vehicles, police, fire, ambulance have in their vehicles, that when they sound that, it'll activate the gate and they can
Okay.
get in. So they are able to access without the clickers.
Okay.
Staff here has clickers for us to get in. So that was
Okay.
part of the deal when we pitched this to the county.
Yeah, that is
So
correct.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So there's no need to include a customer care phone number here for the gatehouse to call and say, we got an emergency here.
Well, I disagree. I want to comment on that. I believe there should be, only because the CDD may not be aware of an incident happening at the corner of Tree Line and Hell Reserve Boulevard. It's very rare that it may happen, but if both entrance and exit lanes are blocked with emergency vehicles, the community of 5,000 people need to have an alternative exit egress from the community. And I think that's under county rule, but I have to research that a little further about
please do.
secondary exits in the event of an emergency.
Please do, and I'd like to propose that we put that off because that is not part of the agreement. We talked about that, and a lot of people in Prado were adamantly opposed to that.
About having a secondary access?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it from a safety
understand.
perspective.
But there are other ways to get off property versus that.
Well, there's
I mean,
only one other way.
It's kludgy, but you can.
This
still
is
get
Don,
off.
and I brought that up the last meeting we
Yep.
had. And we should have somebody that has ability to open that gate in case of emergency. We've had-
Absolutely not. That was a requirement when we had this done, that there would not be, the access is confined to emergency vehicles and GSCDD staff only. The emergency vehicles have the ability to go in, like if the police need to lock that back gate open, if there truly is an emergency that it needs to be locked open for, or the fire department, they have the ability to do that.
If they can get there.
Now, is this whose decision is that? Who made that final decision under the CDD?
When we discussed this previously, you mean as far as who can access the gate, that was agreed upon before we even pursued this project. And it also came up when we discussed it to get the permits with both City of Fort Myers and Lee County.
Okay,
Because they
so-
had some concerns that there would be people just coming and going and there would be no control over who was opening the gate, which is why Pelican was not given access to those gates to be able to control them.
It had like 9 or 10 different governmental authorities around here that had to approve the plan. I can't even.
Yeah, it was crazy. It took like a year.
Yeah, like I said, I'm looking at it from the perspective of 5,000 resident community with only one way in and out. And
Don't you have a way to get in and out through your RV storage area over there? Isn't there some way to get through? I mean, and I believe in the entire existence of Pelican, there's been one time that you guys have been stuck inside.
I agree with you. It only takes one time to have a mass casualty.
I think
That's a
I would-
separate issue.
I
I
would
like
like
to set
to-
that
yeah.
aside.
What I would like to suggest maybe,
I'll follow up on it.
yeah, well, what you can do, why don't you put it on the agenda for the next, well, maybe not the next meeting, that's been
No, we're
posted
gonna-
already, but the following one, because that's something that does need to be discussed, but.
No,
That
it's a lot
needs
of-
to be addressed, and then, if there is and I know what you're talking about, a second exit, but no one in here knows that there's a second exit, and
That's right.
that would have to be defined, how do
Yeah.
people get there? I mean, I've been in emergency management for 40 years,
Yeah,
and I've never
okay.
seen something as stupid as
I'm a
this.
terrible gatekeeper,
I think we need.
so I think we need to move on, we've got that on our follow-up list, okay. Are we now, was there one more?
I was just suggesting include the phone number, that's all. The
Okay,
gateway customer care phone number, that's all.
okay,
The 24/7,
Yeah, I figured it's up at the top in the contact list. It's the same number. So anybody who is on call would have a clicker.
Okay. But this is Dan again. It would be good to have it in that paragraph also.
Yeah,
Just as a redundant indication for that number.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
okay, moving on to 29. Client rules, regulations, and specialized duties. There's a
Again,
big block,
Laura's moving here.
oh, Laura's moving, okay. There we go, thank you. Oops,
these are duties and responsibilities. This is Danny of the access control personnel
Yes.
in their gatehouse.
Yep.
This has nothing to do, in my opinion, with what we.
something like that would definitely, that and a few other things need to be put on on about a 2-page document, the really important things, and hung up in the guardhouse so the guards can see it, because they're not going to look through some 45-page manual for guidance, especially if you get a guard that's come in first day on the job here or something. You need to have something that's a quick reference guide.
Sharon from Wiser, I think we were told that there's some like some kind of laminated document or some short version of this that exists in the guardhouse.
Yes, there is.
Has been updated.
It's not updated and it's not, it's not as specific,
Right. See,
I
documents
guess, for
that are
lack of a better
issued,
word is.
documents
what
that
I'm
are
looking
issued
at.
and hung up at the gate should have dates on them, revision dates.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And this way they can be looked at, although this is outdated, rather than having a piece of paper that's 10 years old, generic post orders. Not doable. That's not what it's for.
So can I make a suggestion that we get through the main post orders first? And then I think once this gets approved, this committee can go back and look at them and come up with the recommendations for what should be included on that cheat sheet.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
And this is Dan again, just on the subject of the gate arms being left in an upright position. I think it's inconsistent, particularly on the weekends. Some weekends the arms are down, some weekends the arms are up. You know, I have to look to see if it's a big paper day to find out that it's Sunday, because the arms being in the down position messes me up. So, you know, what is the schedule provided by the property manager? Is it supposed to be up on the weekends? Is it supposed to be down? Is it down or up between certain specific times of day, or does it go dusk to dawn and it changes every day?
Needs to be consistent.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, at this stage of the Sharon was, at this stage, it's Saturdays with the open houses and whatnot. They've been keeping it open. If there's a lot of open houses, because you have the traffic and that gate, it's going to get taken off that arm. It does all the time. It always gets hit because nobody wants to wait for it.
The exit arm.
The exit on. Egress arm.
That's
But,
about a 5-second delay on that, and that's
Yeah.
why we put it
So
up
that's why
from
it's been
6
up on
a.m.
Saturdays and some Sundays.
Mr. Grove, Mark was wiser.
Yes, Mark. Hi.
Hello. I'm gonna see you, bud. The 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. the exit arm gates are to remain open Monday through Friday. At 6 p.m. throughout the evening, that gate is to be lowered.
Yep.
Weekends are supposed to be lowered. However, like Sharon was explaining, certain situations, certain time frames, you've had birthday parties, weddings, certain things like that, even graduation things go on. We do leave it up at times just for the layman to get out in a manner not to knock off the gate consistently.
Why not just leave it up? I don't see an issue with that.
That we have an issue with 3 residents that do not like
Well, that's 3 residents out. See, that's the problem. We look at individual people having problems with things. We need to look at a whole community issue. And that's the problem with everything. The bicycle lanes, there was one person that complained and got rid of that daggone bicycle lane. We got 1 or 2 people in here. We need to do it for the whole community. And
Yeah.
we need to be consistent on everything.
Completely understandable. Every morning when you do hear this person contact us every single day,
Why
even
wasn't
during
it
the
closed at
storm,
6:05?
for the storm for a month, we got a call every single morning at 6:01, 6:02, 6:05 saying,
Send it to Miss
we
Lewis.
enjoy our coffee, we do not enjoy red stick in the air.
Well, tell them to contact Ms. Lewis. 'Cause
We
I
can
think
refer that
that's
to
what,
the, yeah.
I mean, that's my,
And we will, if that's consistent, we will keep it lowered on the weekends.
Or up. I like the idea of it being up.
You can leave it up.
Yeah, leave it up on the weekend, just like during the daytime on weekdays.
You got it.
Yeah.
6 a.m. to 6 p.m. it'll be left off.
We have
Right.
Jennifer send out an email, once this thing is out, these are which way it's gonna be, access control.
Yeah, it's a question as you're approaching it. Oh, is it going to drop on me now, or is it going to stay open? So keep it open 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and be done with it.
okay.
Yep.
Terrific. Anything else on this page?
Number 5 there, the gatehouse access officer will continue. What's above that? Gatehouse officer. Lock both entrance gates in the opposition.
Well, that's power outages. That's.
Power
the case of
outages, okay, power outages is the issue, okay.
Right, they block off the.
Correct.
And they use the one gate.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Moving on to 30.
Does a question on that, does a new generator operate, does it have anything to do with those gates too, or just the guard shack itself?
I don't know.
It's gonna be everything.
It's gonna be the gates too,
It's a
so,
full-
okay,
It's a full generator, it'll activate the entire gatehouse.
and the gates, okay,
It's all part of the same
Okay.
system,
Nice,
Right.
very nice.
once we get it going.
Oh, yeah, I understand. It's a process. All right. Page 30, any comments or suggestions?
It's good to me.
Okay, we get nods from Wiser as well. Okay, let's move on to 31, which is the gate access control procedures. We've talked a little bit about this already, so we might just
Right.
need to make some changes.
Yeah.
this needs to actually be combined, both those areas, rather than have the same issues addressed in 2 different parts of
Well,
the
you should have
document.
policy and you should have procedures. Policy, this is what we have to do. Procedures, this is how we're gonna make it happen.
That's a good distinction.
Policy would be, on the wiser side, the procedures would be combined.
Correct, yeah.
We got the access is being denied, which you can't do.
And that's why my comment was, it seems to be contrary.
Yes, that needs to be taken out of there.
Oh, it looks like, okay, so I think we're agreeing.
Well, it says, I think you address it here. If the driver requests access to Pelican Preserve, they may be admitted as a member of the general public and advised that they may only travel on CDD public roads. So you're just you're denying them access to the residents.
And that again would be addressed also in that little handout thing.
By
Visitors and resident, yeah.
Yeah, because this is Danny, the driver or the person trying, is not gonna receive this document. So this statement is already known to the security access control personnel. The person trying to get in is not gonna be told, or given the access is being denied to the residents.
That's why it has to be addressed on that paper.
It's redundant.
I just don't understand. Am I literally telling this person, well, you're not on the list, so you can't go to the home, but I can send you to the roads because I can't deny you.
No, you don't give them the
No.
button. You don't give them the button. No,
Okay,
there's no
so,
reason to explain
so
unless
I'm
they say
saying to
why
this
not.
person, I'm sorry, you can't go to the residence.
Yep.
And if they say, okay, okay.
You're not on the visitors list, please turn around and please contact the resident, have them call us for access control.
That whole paragraph is basically should be eliminated.
Yeah.
Just take that whole paragraph out.
We don't give them the button unless they bring it
No,
to your
Yeah,
attention.
it's a pushback.
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
just, like I said, common sense is not very common these days, so you kind of have to, well, you have to explain to people how to take the gum out of the package, take the wrapper off and put it in your mouth before you chew
And
it.
I said this before, 90% of the people that come to this gate do not know that they can't be denied.
And they have no idea private property versus CDD property
Correct.
roads. That means nothing.
Okay, no, I see this.
That area under general public is done. The general public can be provided access to CD. That's going to be explained on that piece of paper and just eliminate
Well, at some
that
point,
portion of it.
at some point in this document, that has to be outlined for Wiser too, to say, you know, it's almost like 3 or 4 statements. If somebody comes in, they're on the list, this is what you do. If they're not on the list, this is what you say. If they're just insistent and they know that they have the right to get in, here's what you do. And because I think that needs to be listed in their post orders. I think what you're saying, Don, is really, they don't need to tell people all the details.
Correct.
You would just give it, okay,
Correct.
yeah, you're allowed to come in. Please note, here's where you're allowed to go, not allowed to go. There are legal implications, whatever the verbiage is we want to tell them. So I do think we need to put some of that in here.
Didn't we
That's
cover
mine.
part of that earlier, though?
It's redundant.
It's redundant.
It's
We've already covered it
I can't
once.
even remember how we worded it.
This has been mentioned, this is Dan again,
Okay,
several sections of this whole document. And I think we need to
I agree.
get
we
to
only
it
have
and
one spot.
identify it in one location. If you want to put something out there, refer to section 1.2 rather than
Okay. I just
recreating
can't
the
remember
wheel.
where we put it
Yeah, it's in there.
or whether we just talked about it.
No, it's in.
No,
it's in the
it's in
document.
there, yeah.
Thank you. All right, I agree, it should only be in there once. So,
Again, it's redundant in the next paragraph.
Same thing
Saying
again.
the same thing, a couple of different words.
And they can't be for trespass. They can't, it's impossible.
No.
It's not legal.
This is Danny, I'm under the opinion it is a CDD disclosure. I think it needs to be combined into a simple statement rather than 2 big paragraphs. And it could be written in very simple.
I'd like to see if we might take an action item for somebody to write that up as we've been discussing it and make sure everybody's in agreement. And then we can take everything out like that in the document to be replaced by this very simple thing.
Good suggestion, Jennifer.
And I think Dean made a comment on the right side about that, consolidate the
Yeah.
comments. Is that
Yeah.
correct, Dean?
That's Laura. Yeah,
Oh,
Laura did
Laura
that.
did, yes. Yeah, well, and there's a couple of spots in this document that we can do that, consolidate some of the
Okay.
verbiage.
I'll tell you what, I'd be happy to take a crack at the very simple, here are the three kind of possibilities, here's what wiser is to do, and then well, if we like it, we'll agree to rip all the rest of it out and we'll just insert that. Okay.
And it could be actually inserted where the other portion is much earlier, and we don't have to be
Sure.
redundant again and put it in. Put it in
Yep.
on the original, whatever, page 3 or 5, whatever it was.
Okay. I'm just writing myself a note so I don't forget. Okay, so 3 scenarios are, they're on a list, not on a list,
Just want to drive through.
and they insist on coming through. I'll word it a little differently, but
Yeah.
those are the scenarios.
And that applies to vendors, to anything,
Yeah.
anybody that's coming in here.
Okay, and then what I'll do probably just, for time's sake, I'll send it, to Georgia. If this is okay with you, if it's not Georgia, if it's not appropriate, let me know. And then maybe you can send it out to the group so they can all take a look at it. So we don't have to read it for the first time when we come to the next meeting to talk about this. Okay.
If you can send it to me as well, just so that it's not just going to one person.
Oh, yeah, certainly.
That'd be best actually just to send it to customer care, because then I see it and I can get it to Georgia. And so does Randy.
Okay, customer care. Gotcha.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's easy enough.
Okay, residents.
All right, so we are now CD disclosure and all that. Okay, so that's going to take care of all of this, really. So, okay, I see why you said residents. We're on to 32 now. And actually, it's going to take care of all this too,
Yes,
isn't
I
it?
was just gonna say that.
Implications.
It's going to take care of that, 30, all of 32. There are a couple questions I have about 33 then.
Okay.
Employees. It says here they have a barcode, so really access, it's really residents. You've got residents and non-residents, but do we want to call it residents or residents and anybody who's got a barcode? Does residents have
Barcode entry.
barcodes?
Authorized entry, authorized access. Wire barcode.
Do
Okay,
I just call it vehicles with barcodes?
That's it.
that's good. I like that.
And if you're in a vehicle with no barcode, you have to have your proper ID, like anyone else entering, whether it be your Pelican ID or a driver's license.
But you don't have to show it.
So employees have barcodes, is that right? They're not residents?
Correct.
Right.
You're supposed to, but you don't have to.
Correct.
But they can.
They can,
They
can.
suggested.
yes.
Yep.
But you
Okay.
can't do anything if they refuse.
Yeah, so vehicles with barcodes, people coming in who don't have a barcode, but they're on a list, not on a list, and they're insisting, so we really have 4 now, which is fine.
And do we have vendors who have barcodes also?
I don't believe so.
I think they're just on a list.
Okay.
The district does, but I don't know if you count them as a vendor.
No,
No,
I'm thinking more like
FedEx,
Ameriscape
UPS.
and people that come to the property and work all day long, all week long. Do they have to get in the? Do they have to go through the visitor gate?
They can't have a barcode because if they service 35 communities, they'd have to have 35 barcodes on their card.
It's not
So,
practical, Dean.
Don't you guys have a list? These
Yes.
vendors are allowed in no matter
Yep.
what?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which
That's what I
actually
mean.
could be updated.
Yeah.
Could you definitely use some updating.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, it's great.
okay.
We talked about that earlier, about vendors that
Yeah.
we know they hear all the time. The Ameriscape
And that's
of the world.
something that security company can give us a list of consistent vendors that come in here. And that they could handle that really.
Okay, okay. So we've got, I'm just going through 33. So we've talked about employee, groundkeepers, delivery, emergency towing services. Okay, so We've got deliveries, which should just be Monday through Saturday. Flower deliveries Monday through Sunday, so that looks like it's a.
That should just be
it's a
taken out.
exception.
We don't need that in
Don't need
there.
that in there.
We've already covered it all.
We've got emergency. We've already
Did you
covered-
skip ahead? I don't see that here, sorry. Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
page 33.
Get rid of flower deliveries. We
We're
don't
just
want
going
flowers.
through each of these categories kind of quickly and see if there's anything special that we need to call out. And so far, we're saying no, there really isn't. And then newspaper deliveries. Do we have any newspaper deliveries?
Yeah.
Do we?
Yeah, they're here
Okay.
4 o'clock in the morning now,
Yeah.
5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and that, they have access, so it's.
Okay, they're active. They've got they're on the access. list.
Laura, can you go
No,
back
they
up?
are not,
We like,
actually.
no.
Eliminate flower deliveries. We don't need, I don't think we need to identify specifically a flower delivery. It's. Everybody in agreement?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think
I
it falls
don't-
under your deliveries here, makes sense.
There must have been some issue from the past where flowers were being delivered and denied because of the
Yeah.
post orders, so.
I'm guessing it's the Sunday. That's the only difference I can see between this area here and this area here.
Right.
They're all Monday through Saturday, 8 to 8, and this is Monday through Sunday, 8 to 8. So it says no deliveries on Sundays.
Take it out of there. I mean, they have access.
I mean, you can get food deliveries on
Yeah.
Sundays too, so they said, well, you gotta be careful. Monday to Sunday, no
Yeah.
food deliveries. So
But if you read further over, it says,
Unless it's
It's-
requested by the house.
So if, I would take
that needs to be restructured.
vendors,
Yeah.
resident deliveries, furnished move vans, and then it states, this is Dan again, food deliveries such as pizza, Chinese, people get the food deliveries 7 days a week.
It says Monday through Sunday
Oh, I'm
as
sorry.
requested. There's no restrictions for food.
No, so, and we put the same thing for flowers. So where it says food deliveries, flower deliveries,
All that whole paragraph should just be taken out.
Yeah.
I mean, furniture delivery, I mean, all of that should be taken out.
We say 7.
It's not consistent with what we said before.
So this, I'm guessing, is something that stems back to something in your covenants. Maybe there's restrictions in there, but this wouldn't be something that the CDD would restrict.
Right.
Yeah, that's like you said, is a CDD document, so that, take that all out of there.
Mark,
This whole thing?
yes.
Yep.
Did you say something?
Including
I don't know. I don't know. I think that's risky, deleting it.
Well, then you're
Yeah,
restricting
see, I
certain
think I
people.
would restructure it. I
Yeah,
don't,
not, because we need that time frame on there, and I was gonna question the time frame. Mark with Wiser. Now, 8 AM to 8 PM. In the past, I know we have told certain vendors that 7 o'clock is the cutoff time. It is 8 o'clock, correct?
Well, according to
I
the
don't know.
document, it's 8. This is
Gotcha.
your document.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But wait, what does it say with the
it
government?
says it's 7 to 7,
Yeah.
so, and
We
you
have
have
7 to
8 to 8.
8,
Just
yeah.
a question.
So what
We
do
had
you
a 7 to
want?
7 earlier. This is Danny. The original ones in the covenants is 7 to 7. That's when the gate is officially open for deliveries out and vendors and contractors. 7 in the morning,
Until
I'm
what
just
time at
thinking-
night?
7 at night.
7.
Yeah, but didn't we address this? We
No.
talked about people coming in earlier and they're vendors, same as these people. Everybody's a vendor there. I mean, we talked about, on weekends and stuff, a service company coming in. They have to do some service. That's the same thing as a vendor.
That's emergency repairs though.
How can you
Well,
kick something out?
Maybe you just delete the word vendors / and just call it resident deliveries.
Good choice of words.
Yeah.
They're not vendors, but they are, whether it's Uber or it's, somebody
correct.
delivering food.
So this is where we get into the thing where, like, as the district, we can't say you can only come in between this time and this time. So this is an HOA issue. This is where we get that gray area. So from the district standpoint, anybody can come through that gate anytime they want. We can't stop them. They're public roads. That would be like saying you can't drive down Gateway Boulevard after 8 o'clock.
This is done. I totally agree because that's what you said. This is a CDE document. I think we're starting to read in Pelican and we can't. This is a CD document.
And this is something I recommend, like if you choose, if you guys want to help out when they do the Pelican side of it, and maybe set these things off to the side to use when that document gets developed, that would be my recommendation. But as the district, we cannot restrict the hours people come and go. Just like we can't restrict where they go, we can't restrict when. If you have it in your HOA covenants and you want to do it that way, I think it gets a little gray because again, they're public roads. So we can't tell people you can't come in after 8 o'clock on a public road.
So we need to, this is Danny, so we need to actually have the HOA documents associated with each one of these line items to see what our restrictions are and tie it into the CDD mandates and requirements. Because if the HOA says you can't send in a moving van to any community within Pelican, you can't deny the mover from coming in, but you can deny him unloading his furniture
But
on
that's
to
where-
a community. This
It
is where-
becomes an HOA issue.
An HOA.
that's what-
Yeah, okay. All right, so, but then that
Hi-
doesn't belong here, so we take
It
it.
doesn't belong here.
Yeah, okay, so I think we're all in agreement
So
that,
you're gonna give us 2 sets of post orders, one
No,
from the
no,
Pelican
no,
and
no,
one
no.
from the
No.
CDD.
I think the intention is that the PPCA is going to work with Wiser as well. We're going to come up with the main separation will be between the billing. Like the district pays for X and PPCA pays for Y, but overall, this is how we want Wiser to handle it. We are not at that point yet. Right now, there is only one contract between the district and Wiser, and this document is to give Wiser guidance for how to uphold the contract it has with the district. So this could be completely subject to change in the future should PPCA do their own thing, but right now we need to focus on, based on the district's contract, what is Wiser supposed to do?
Laura and others, this is Dean. How would we address the situation where we have tractor trailer trucks coming into the property to make deliveries and looking to traverse a neighborhood CDD road to the end of the road where there's a cul-de-sac and they can't get around the cul-de-sac?
We don't address that. That's their problem. I mean,
It's
that's.
it's CDD's problem. At
That-
some point, can we deny oversized trucks? Can we deny, vehicles that are too high to go through the gatehouse because they damage the structure? Do we have that ability?
Yeah, I think you have that ability as far as specific things, but they need to be posted. I mean, a height on the gatehouse, 9 foot 6 inches, or whatever it is, and then you can address that individually with those vehicles that come in that be an oversized vehicle. Saying, you're going to have a problem here if you do it. I can't keep you from coming in because it's a CDD highway, unless the CDD establishes a rule for that on highways, and they're subject to the same highway rules as what you are on Colonial or Tree Line.
But the geometry of the roadways does not support tractor trailer trucks.
Correct, and that's why you need to tell them you can't do that because you can't get turned around. But if they end up doing it, they got a problem.
This is Danny.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
85% of your tractor trailer drivers can back out of any community. And now, 50% can cause that damage. And the cul-de-sacs are actually wide enough for the tractor trailer to maneuver if there is no other vehicle in the way. I
got some pictures, Danny. I got some pictures recently from when a tractor trailer had been down. I think it's Breno Drive, and at the end of it, when it tried to make the turn, it ended up driving all over the center landscaped island, potentially damaging irrigation, certainly damaging foliage and landscape.
Yeah, and it can happen. And I've also had tractor trailers. I live in Solero, and I've had a tractor trailer, and that's a little Kirby Street, back
Yeah.
out to the top, the entire roadway. He literally backed up. I couldn't believe him doing that. I've also had tractor trailers drop off their equipment on Cypress Grove, and that bring it down with a forklift.
Yeah.
They knew they were not going to be able to make that turn.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
it's an education for both the moving company or the tractor trailer driver and the community. Maybe we should put that into the community notes, that they need to make sure for deliveries that their vehicle does not exceed. I drive a 40-foot bus. I can make that turn. Maybe a
Mhm.
maybe a 52-foot tractor trailer cannot.
right.
So it's up to the community to inform its residents if they got a delivery coming from, like Bear, they bring the smaller tractor trailers in because they know the community.
That's correct. And then the other thing you can do is on that sheet of paper, and it's not going to be long. We're looking at about 5 words. It's the owners or the on the side that's for vendors and stuff on that sheet of paper. You put in any oversized vehicle need to use due caution upon entering the community. You can word it a little bit differently than that, though, to make sure that their vehicle is suitable for the area or something, you know.
And there is something in the covenants about the residents responsible for any damage or actually by the vendor coming onto the property. So if a vendor causes property damage, the resident is overall responsible in addition to the operator of the vehicle.
If you hand out that piece of paper, you put them on notice, and that's the key, putting people on notice that there is an issue. So you can always, you know, on that piece of paper, you're identifying an oversized vehicle issue. That could go for weight or for size.
Okay, it is 11:58. Do we have hard stops at noon or what?
How much longer do we have here on this? I don't think we have too much more, do we?
Probably
Well,
not.
I think
I think we
if we
can
go
squeeze
through,
through
we
it.
speed through it, I think we might
Okay.
get a better sense.
Let's do it.
Well, you're in the lunchroom, so
I know.
you may have visitors.
As long as they feed us, we don't care. All right, let's go. This is Danny. I request to go forward.
Okay, I think we can do it very quickly if we keep side conversations down to a minimum. Let's focus on this document. Anything else, write it down and we'll talk about it.
I'd just take out that emergency home. We've covered that. Newspaper delivers. We've basically covered all that.
Yep.
Just take that out.
Because it's redundant.
Yeah, and actually the community development part, that's redundant too, because they have access to the place. And
If they don't have, if they're not in the vehicle, they're gonna have to show their ID and go through anyway.
Yeah.
It's gonna stop them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Moving to emergency services.
Okay, good.
I think this is comes
That's-
under
that's
common
self-explanatory.
sense.
I think that's
News
really not
media,
needed.
you're not gonna stop them.
No.
News media.
Media part, that's something that news media. I think that could be something that they could handle if they want to say, the security guard up there says, hey, we got news media coming. Just, get a hold of management and just let them know.
So we can't stop them,
Okay.
but we can't stop them. And they know their rights. They know what they can do and not.
Yeah.
So. Okay, sure.
If special events is always an issue.
Again, it's no different than you can't deny them.
No, and where I'm referring to is for parking issues. That and that's kind of not CDD, but it is CDD when they come in and they park anywhere the heck they want to on CDD streets. That's a law enforcement issue. But I think that's something that needs to be addressed either in here or Pelican, and the golf course needs to address that. And say, here's a map. You guys, people coming in for a golf tournament, one standard map. This is where you go and park. One thing for Pelican Preserve Town Center. Here's a map. This is where you park. It's, you know,
Don't you guys, in Wiser get a list every week of special events, et cetera, so that you know that these folks are coming?
We do get some, but we do not get a lot from the clubhouse, especially.
but any large
I
event,
understand that
small
would be
events
good.
should not be an issue, but large events, you ought to just have a piece of paper where you can just hand it to them and say, this is where you go. And this is where you park, and then that's the golf course makes theirs and town center makes theirs.
Okay, so we can put that, on the separate, I know Randy's making a great list over there, I see him writing away.
You know,
Okay, realtors
That's
open
more a
houses,
Pelican
we've
Preserve
talked
issue.
about that already, correct?
yes,
So we don't need that in
No, we
there.
can consider that.
you know,
Process servers,
Non-issue.
not, they can come in,
packages, that's,
it's all redundant.
yeah. Golfing and pro shop, we've talked about.
Hey, I wanted to put, I think this is very, I don't know how you guys feel about this. I think this is important to leave this in here. Because
Which
it's
part?
saying that they won't accept anything on behalf of a resident at the
Correct.
gate. So
Correct.
I think this is important to keep that in
Yeah,
there.
keep that in
Okay.
there, but
That's
everything
fine.
above that.
You want to highlight it or make it, put in larger lettering? Change the font?
Yeah. I don't think so.
If it's that, if you feel it's that important, I mean, leaving it in there is fine.
I think it should just be like that.
Our guards know there's been too many things left there. Except some people will drop it and leave, us not even knowing what resident dropped it for whom.
Oh, no kidding, that's,
Yes.
that's crazy.
Somebody drop you a bomb.
Okay, what
I
about
hope
golfing
this-
and pro shop?
What's the process with the pro shop? Do they give you a list of people coming in?
They do not.
So, again, so it's an issue that's not being handled, it's not being done.
We do get the golfing schedule,
But that's
We can
private
look that up.
property.
but
That's
otherwise,
private.
any the pro shop or anything, we don't have anything with that.
That's where you need to have town center and the golf course communicate with Pelican Preserve and have a map drawn and handed, this is where you go, people. So these guards don't have to
Okay.
give them a 5-minute lecture on where
Okay,
they,
so
what they
we've
need to
got that,
do.
we've got that written down already.
Okay.
And I think golfing, I'm gonna put a little note here for this whole thing. I'm gonna make sure that whatever I write up will fit the golf club too,
Yeah.
because that's kind of a special case.
Yeah, and the golf club needs to do something on it, and town center needs to do something.
Yeah,
I think that's it. The rest of it is
it's wider stuff.
Yeah.
all wide. We have no interest, yeah.
Wow,
I mean, it's a lot here. This is something that,
yes.
again, this is Danny speaking. I don't think there was enough interest in putting this thing together originally, and this is a cookie cutter document that they just filled in the blanks and added Pelican Reserve to it. That really does not apply to what we need here, and because we have two different entities. We got CDD assets, and then we got Pelican Preserve assets, and they conflict with each other in a couple of instances, so we need to clarify that or make a separate document just for Pelican Reserve
And
to handle this, what our needs and wants are.
Yeah, and why a security company, whoever it is, has no business, and in town center, has no business, according to this document, I'm saying. I may disagree with a lot of this, what I'm saying, but they have no business in town center, they have no business on golf course property.
okay,
My only mark with Wiser, the only thing is for parking purposes, we are told to park it as far back now at the town center, about past the Brokey Center, make a right, that first parking lot.
Mhm.
We're told to park the road vehicle there, that's where we exchange,
That's
and that's where people park.
just being facetious, but they allow the cooks to park on the front row every day.
Well, that's something we can address in a separate meeting,
Right.
is
Yeah,
where the staff
All right.
members should be parking rather than the
I've
residents.
addressed that in writing over 5 years, and nobody does anything.
okay, I'm gonna gatekeep a little bit to get us back on course. Randy, you've been keeping great notes over there. Can we get copies of the action items, and et cetera, before the next meeting? And I don't mean next week. We have a meeting next week, or is it the week after?
Next week. I
Next
think.
week, we
Next week,
have,
yeah.
I'll have Georgia, I'll put this together. I'll save this because it's saved on my laptop right now. And I'll get this to Georgia to get out to you guys so that you can look at it, digest it. It's got the
Yeah.
comments in it and everything. I'm sure I missed some stuff, didn't cover everything, but I know you you guys took notes too. So between the notes you took individually, and the notes that I did in the sheet, we can get that out to you. So I realize it's late for your next meeting, but you still got time to look it over then. You'll have it in your hands.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. And that's why I think Randy's notes are important, because they're sort of action items and it'll remind us, oh yeah, we decided to pull that out and do it as a separate thing. Okay. Anything else before we adjourn?
A lot.
Good job, everybody.
I think this was some great discussion. So thank you, everybody. I know we'll be coming through this a few times, I'm sure, but I think we made a lot of headway today.
Yeah, this is Dan. I want to make one comment. If we can identify the document that we're working off of with a version number, so everyone, when they're looking at it, they know they're looking at version 419,
right,
which is today's date.
Yeah, no, I'm doing version control on my computer already, so I'll make sure that happens.
Okay, then we can make when we have the meeting, make sure we're all addressing that one particular version. So this way, everyone's on the same page. And I think Wiser, I'll speak to, had requested to be included or receive a copy, but I would defer them to their company, or what we want to do as part of this the group.
Wiser should handle all their own personal policies and procedures.
Not what we
And that
do.
is approved, right.
Okay.
That's totally different.
Okay.
Good. We should have a copy of it, but not this document.
Okay.
Sounds good. Well, then I would like to call the meeting adjourned at 12:07 p.m.
My second, third, and triple now.
Okay.
Well done, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a good rest of your day, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks. See you all next week.